Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today our subject is school, community and teacher. It is lecture number 26 and topic of today's lecture is classroom management. The outlines of the lectures are group work, what is classroom, why classroom management, principles of classroom management, components of classroom management, strategies for classroom management, key dimensions of classroom management, classroom norms, components of classroom norms. Now we shall see that what type of group works may be there. First of all, we see that what is meaning of group work. Group work involves students working collaboratively on set tasks in or out of the classrooms. Group work includes any learning and teaching tasks or activities that require students to work in groups. Any formal assessment tasks that require students to work in groups. Then group processes, we may say that it refers to how an organization members work together to get things done. So through group process, observation and analysis can help identify problems early, thus alleviating the need for measure overall as the year progresses. So suppose we define groups like group number 1. We say that the task of this group, that is to work on definition of classroom management. Then group 2, importance of classroom management. Then group 3, principle of classroom management. Group number 4 has been assigned like components of classroom management. Then group 5, strategies for classroom management. Now here, what is classroom management? Classroom management creates a set of expectations used in an organized classroom environment. It includes routines, rules, and consequences. Effective classroom management paves the way for the teachers to engage the students in learning. So classroom management is a term teachers use to describe the process of ensuring that classroom lessons run smoothly without disruptive behavior from students compromising the delivery of instructions. The term also implies the prevention of disruptive behavior preemptively as well as effectively responding to it after it happens. Classroom management is creative. It creates both the best situation in which the students can learn and the teacher can teach. And the procedures and instructional techniques that are used to establish the classroom environment so that learning can occur. Remember that it is difficult aspect of teaching for many teachers. Problem in this area causes some to leave teaching. In 1981, the US National Education Association reported that 36% of teachers said they would probably not go into teaching if they had to decide again. So a major reason was negative student attitudes and discipline. Classroom management is crucial in classroom because it supports the proper execution of curriculum development and developing best teaching practices and putting them into actions. Classroom management can be explained as the actions and directions that teachers use to create a successful learning environment, indeed having positive impact on students achieving given learning requirements and goals. In an effort to ensure all students receive the best education, it would seem beneficial for the educator programs to spend more time and effort ensuring educators and instructors are well versed in classroom management. Management strategies are based on understanding how the classroom environment can. Teachers do not focus on learning classroom management because higher education programs do not put an emphasis on the teacher attaining classroom management. Indeed, the focus is on creating a conducive learning atmosphere for the student. So these tools enable teachers to have the resources available to properly and successfully educate upcoming generations and ensure future successes as a nation. So, according to Moskowitz and Hammond in 1976, that once a teacher loses control of their classroom, so it becomes increasingly more difficult for them to regain that control. So, why classroom management? This question is that classroom management systems are effective because they increase students' success by creating an orderly learning environment that enhances students' academic skills and competencies as well as their social and emotional development. By successfully managing your classrooms, you can increase student success and create a productive and cooperative learning environment. Primary purpose is to gain control the classroom. Then good classroom management results in high levels of student engaged time to provide a conducive learning environment to the learners. Best utilization of classroom time. So, by successfully managing your classrooms, you can increase students' success and create a productive and cooperative learning environment. So, effective behavior management plans allow students to get the most out of their time spent in school and ensure that you maintain your sanity. So, classroom management refers to the widely variety of skills and techniques that teachers use to keep students organized, orderly, focused, attentive on task, and academically productive during a class. Again, this is another aspect of that the social development by inculcating social skills. Then there are some principles of classroom management. What are those principles? Like Brophy states that there are three general principles for good classroom management. The first one is willingness of the teacher to accept responsibility. And the second one is long term solution oriented approaches to problems rather than short terms. And the third principle is check to see if symptomatic behavior is caused by underlying personal problems like impulsivity, lack of awareness, home problems, etc. So, disease or control responses, classroom control. Although deal with the disruptive behavior, but also manage to minimize off task, non disruptive behaviors. And the other principle is that teach students to manage their own behavior. And other is students learn to be on task and engage in learning activities. So, you have planned for them. It is more natural to be off task than on focus attention on entire class. Don't talk over students chatter, and silence can be effective. Use softer voice so students really have to listen to what you are saying. Direct your instructions so that students know what is going to happen. Monitor groups of students to check progress. Move around the room so students have to pay attention more readily. So, give students non-verbal cues and engage in how profile interventions of the disruptions, and make sure classroom is comfortable and safe. And the other principle is that over plan your lessons to ensure that you fill the period with learning activities. Come to the class prepared, show confidence in your teaching, and learn student names as quickly as possible. Now we see that what are the components of the classroom management. The components of the classroom management involve seating, displays, and visual attention, pair and group work, cleanliness, usage of resources, timetable, classroom norms, teachers' movement, use of blackboard, evaluation, observation, questioning, demonstration, and presentation. Moreover, somehow that normally we say that 7 key elements for effective classroom managements like classroom design, although often overlooked. The first element of classroom management is intentional design. So rules that foster respect, caring, and community in your classrooms. Then discipline comes like classroom rules must have concrete consequences. And the other component is scheduling, and the next one is organization, and instructional technique, and then communication. So moreover, social skills may also be included, and accessibility should be there. Then pair or grouped composition, then instruction, then body language. This is very important, that whenever you are going to teach, so your body language should be matched with your words, what you are saying in the classrooms. Then what are the strategies for classroom management? So big strategies like fundamental principles of classroom management. The first one is follow the first step of hypnosis. Hypnosis first induction technique often involves directing subjects to focus on something that they are already doing. Feel your eyes getting tired is a good opening, because everybody eyes feel tired all the time, but we don't notice until someone's pointed out. Teachers like hypnotist can string along the series of requests by asking students to do something most are already doing. They waiting for 100% compliance and finally issuing another directives. So it's better for teachers to say, point your eyes toward me and wait for compliance, instead of saying that stop talking, turn around, turn to page 237 and so on, and take out a pencil and had your paper with geology frame. So the other one is that keep your consequences as minimal as possible. When a rule is broken, assign the smallest consequence possible and see if that gets the job done. Don't use up big consequences too fast. Then appropriate curriculum is a classroom management strategy. For some students, being thrown out of room for back talk has a lower social cost than appearing dumb in front of peers. Assigning appropriately difficult work, which often means differentiating, eliminates that task. Then rehearse transitions. Most disruptions occur before the bell rings and between activities. Silent 30 was my signal for all students to clear their task and sit silently within half a minute. A class reward occurs after 30 transitions were completed successfully. So these are some strategies. So moreover, the other strategies are planning. It means how to achieve desired goals. Then organization means rules and procedures should be aligned with the teaching strategies. Then communication should be effective. Remember that once you are talking with the students, so your communication must be effective for them. Then motivation means that it should create a learning environment that encourages social interactions. Anticipate problems and be creative. At the beginning of 1 year, my middle grade students would charge into class like Mel Gibson's and thousands Scottish warriors. So to solve the problem, I asked my kid to line up for class outside my doors with their left arms against the wall and the foot of space between them and the persons in front of them. So to enter class, each child had to answer either the content related questions or the random dumb questions like what type of weapon would you use to battle Aquaman. So the dumb questions kept the line entertained. After answering, students were directed to take a seat quiet as moonlight and follow instructions on the board. So students talking and violating any part of protocol was sent to the back of the line. So the other strategy may be that make positive phone calls home and send letters. I used to send a positive note home to every student's guardians, and I would include a magnet to encourage to placement on the refrigerator. I also left complimentary voicemails that way parents and kids saw me as an ally. The other strategy may be monitoring. Monitoring means to monitor the activities. This is one of the strategy that once you have given any activity to the students, so remember that you should keep an eye on that activity, you should monitor that activity, that what's going on and what the students are doing. Then there are key dimensions of the positive classroom management. Remember that classroom management is a use of procedures and teaching techniques that promote a safe and efficient learning environment. For primary school teachers, disciplinary method and behavior expectations are central to this system. As students say, the managerial style of instructors may change to assist students in the development of self-guided learning. Although every teacher will have a unique style of management to meet each class needs with same elements can found consistently. So if we see the physical dimensions, that physical dimension includes condition of furniture, place to keep things, proper place to sit for students, light vision possibilities, noise level, and the temperature of the classroom, right place for chalk and board or bulletin board, and the ambience means environment, order, humidity, ventilation, chalk dust, heat cold, nice eco quiet. Each room has its own feel, and that feel stands an immediate message, air freshener or flowers. The next one is instruction dimensions include class communication. Teachers convey enthusiasm for the subject and for content specifically taught. Teacher must keep students accountable for their work, and teacher must be aware of what is happening in the work. Teacher must teach for student success. And as far as the human factor is concerned, so human factor includes mutual interaction, audibility and visionary aspects, place of moments around the class for teachers and students. Don't make things too comfortable lest they so what are classroom norms? Classroom norms are behavioral expectations or rules of the class. Class norms inform us how we are expected to behave towards each other and towards the materials we use in schools. Norms may be written at the earlier or general or specific level. So there are some social norms regarding public behavior, like shake hands when you meet someone, make direct eye contact with the persons you are speaking with. Unless the movie theater is crowded, do not sit right next to the someone. So do not stand close enough to a stranger to touch arms or somebody, some part of body. Moreover, classroom norms are the behavioral expectations or rule of the class, and classroom norms tells us how we are expected to behave towards each other and towards the material we use in classrooms. It helps to ensure that students indeed understand the classroom and community's expectations and expectations of the class teacher. Now, there are some components of the classroom norms. Although there are 7 key elements for effective classroom managements. Before studying, I have already discussed components of classroom norms, but here these are basically related to component classroom management, classroom designs, rules, discipline, scheduling, organization, instructional technique, and communications may be considered as the components of classroom norms. Students will work together for a common goal. This is classroom norms. That once you are in the classrooms, then being a class fellow, students will work together because they have to achieve a common goal as assigned by the teacher. Then strong relationship between teacher and students. If you don't have strong relations with the students, then it is very difficult to achieve or to implement classroom norms. Then active participation in classroom this is very important, that if your students are not actively involved in the classrooms, then this doesn't come into your classroom norms. Then learning related mistakes are okay. Once if you do something, so definitely you may commit some mistakes. So That's why you should be able to agree on this thing that learning and during learning mistakes may be there. So if there are something related to mistakes, so that should be okay. The non-verbal warming, finger or on desks, like we can uh, we can intimate the students with our non-verbal cues. Verbal warming maybe is there that you may ask the students verbally. Written warning that may be on whiteboard or blackboard. So learning related mistakes. So this was all about this lecture. Thank you very much. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.